All right, we're live. Sorry, folks. Earlier we had some technical difficulties, but it is a Monday after the episodes of The Last Dance. So we're here to discuss The Last Dance. Again, I've got Napoleon and Gundy joining me. And right now I'm going to try to make this thing public so we can share it out and they can share it out on their Facebooks as well, and we try to get as many viewers as we can on this thing. The first thing I want to do while I'm trying to make this public, let's see. Sorry, folks. I wish that it could be a little bit easier getting started. Sometimes my computer acts up and I start off a little slow here. So I'm making it public. Hopefully it'll change in a second, and then y'all can. There we go. So y'all can share it out. Hopefully, again, we'll get more viewers on this thing. The first thing I'd like to do is, if you were here last week, one of our guys is missing, Tavon Montz, and he is actually working with a nonprofit up in his area through Impact Church. Here's the address, and it's in East Point. But from what I saw on it, they're kind of it's called Feeding Our Community. So it looks like they're kind of feeding some of these families in need right now during this pandemic. And this is a nonprofit that Montz is working with. And he said he had like a admin meeting, people that are all working together on that. They had a Zoom meeting tonight with that. So I kind of wanted to give him a plug there. So if you're up that way, and you can help in any way, maybe you can contact Impact Church up in East Point. Also, I want to plug Rochester Sports Autographs. You can find them on Facebook. And also here is their website, shoprsa.com. It's kind of like this sports auction website. You can buy, just about anything you can think of, all the sports. From baseball to basketball, football, hockey. They got wrestling. They got entertainment stuff, but it's all signed by professional athletes and all kind of stuff. So basically, this company they go to these signings where these athletes are at, and as soon as it's signed, they're picking up that merchandise and it's getting authenticated right then and there. So it's a pretty cool site if you're interested in that kind of thing. You can check them out. But anyway, all right. I guess what you people are really here for is to kind of hear our thoughts on The Last Dance. So who wants to start?
Hey, Gundy, were you able to watch episode 10?
I got to right after they beat Utah, which crazy, man. They beat Utah. You saw that shot? Get out of here, man. Man, spoiler alert.
Look, we knew the outcome since '98, man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with this, man. We know most of this stuff. It's really just a lot of filling in the details, the behind the scenes talking and commentary, and that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm like, man, I wish that, like, they're saying, okay, it wouldn't be good to have an NBA season without fans. I'm like, do y'all realize we'd be able to hear everything they talking on the court if they have an NBA season? Like, I would love that. Just to be able to hear the court talking, the chatter, and just hear all that. Like, that's a whole different, add something totally different to the game. But yeah, I saw it up to that point. But man, the guy's great. And I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm still actually in my office working.
Okay. No, you're good. We appreciate you. Again, you joining us. Yeah. So, but yeah, Nappy, what are some initial thoughts coming out of watching it?
Well, hey, all I'm gonna say is episodes 9 and 10 way better than episodes 7 and 8.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I do hyped up 7 and 8 like it was gonna be the greatest episodes ever. I heard an interview by the creator, and he made it like 7 and 8 was just gonna be amazing, and it was good. It's just these are great,
right? Yeah,
but no, I love how they started off episode 9 with the with Reggie Miller and MJ fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that I miss with basketball today. Like I miss the physicality. I miss the getting up in that ass, fighting. Right. I mean, it makes for must see TV.
That's what I like about Draymond. People like Draymond Green because he's old school.
Yeah,
like,
There's definitely that part of the game that's kind of missing. The more, the more physical game of it, and then like those guys didn't want to team up with each other because they wanted to beat each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when the Bulls beat the Pacers and Larry, MJ, he told Larry Bird, he was like, "Yeah, F you,"
yeah.
and but
he called him a B. He called him a B.
Yeah. So like they still had that cutthroat mentality. Like like they didn't want to team with each other like some of these dudes want to today. I mean, they respected each other, and I'm sure there was I mean, obviously they're kind of friends now, but I'm sure there was some type of friendship while they were playing. But yeah, they didn't. No, Michael didn't want Magic on his team. He didn't want Larry Bird on his team. He wanted to do it, with his guys on his own. At least that's how I feel. So, but yeah, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah. But anyway, what are some other things that y'all?
But
thought about?
Watching Indiana and Chicago play, and I love how Jordan said that they were the toughest team that he went up against.
Yeah.
And I look at Reggie Miller, how he plays offense. Like he is a tough person to guard.
Yeah.
I mean, but what I love about Reggie is the fact that he didn't back down to Jordan. Like I think he's the best shooting guard that Jordan ever went up against. And that's better than Clyde.
Oh, yeah. I definitely put Reggie ahead of Clyde.
Yeah, Reggie was very unique in his shooting form too. Just so smooth and I mean, it just looked so I don't know, just so natural. And then what is it? He scored like what's the stat with him? He scored like 11 points in like 9 seconds
in 8 seconds crazy. Or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. So but I had a question pop up. This is from one of my good buddies. Are there any current college guys that have the potential to be close to another Jordan? Nobody's jumping off the top of my head right now. And then I guess with the college season kind of ending early, no March Madness, so there was no, you didn't get a chance to kind of see some of those guys finish the season out.
I don't know. Is it just me? Is it me, or do we not know the high school and college players the way we used to know them? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't name 5 great college players right now.
Right.
I mean, I probably can.
I can't even name 5.
Yeah.
And I love basketball.
Yeah.
But
right.
I wasn't interested. I wasn't that interested. Now I was going to watch the games when they came on. If the season didn't get shortened and stuff. But I mean, I knew what's his name, son from North Carolina, who was injured most of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's his name? That's the
oh, you mean Cole Anthony?
Cole Anthony, yeah.
Yeah.
Greg Anthony's son. But it's that they're not. It's not like it used to be where you knew. I could still name some of the all American teams from the late 90s and early 2000s and stuff. Like I can name the whole 96 draft. And,
right.
And it's like I don't know these players like that.
Yeah, I mean I think it's like with any sport. I mean, I know we're kind of mainly focusing on basketball right now, but even like baseball, I mean, I used to can name so many stats and like lineups for like so many teams.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, I don't know who some of these, I have no idea who some of these cats are. So I think I don't know, man. It's just, I'm sure the kids that are our age, that were our age back then that are, they're that age now. I don't know. But anyway. Maybe they can, but
so out of all the college basketball players that are out there right now, I can't I don't think there's anybody that's currently playing in college basketball that can remotely get to MJ's level. The only person that I think that could remotely get there is LaMelo Ball. And it's so dependent on the team that he lands with. If he lands with the Knicks, he's gonna be shit. I'm just saying, like, the Knicks are notorious for ruining guys and ruining an organization.
More recently, yes, Jim Dolan. They need to get rid of Dolan, man. Like, you can't fire an owner, but if there was ever a case to fire an owner, he got to go.
They just need to revolt. Don't go to any games. All the fans just need to boycott.
Dude, when you don't let Oakley, when you got a beef with Charles Oakley come into the games, like, man, come on, man, that's Oakley.
Look,
like, get out of here.
Look, if James Dolan has a Donald Sterling moment,
that's what they need to catch him on.
That's like what we need.
That's the only thing. That's what we need.
Just set him up.
I'm telling you. Hey, I'll help.
We gotta find him a black girlfriend or something.
Just set him up. But yeah, so like back to the Last Dance. I know we kind of touched on it last week, and they brought it back up just a little bit, with Steve Kerr. But like Steve Kerr kind of losing his dad, and then so I think that kind of him and Jordan, were kind of able to bond over that as well. So I thought that was kind of unique because Kerr was able to kind of relate to what Jordan was going through. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
So that brings up something, and I think I had heard about Steve Kerr's dad dying. I didn't know, ain't much about his dad.
Right.
And that actually makes it like Steve Kerr make a lot more sense now because, he's one of the few coaches, him and Popovich, they're like two of the coaches that are known for speaking out on social issues, speaking out against injustices, things like that. And it's like, okay, what makes these guys like that? I get it with Popovich. He served in the military and stuff, but I didn't understand it with Steve Kerr.
Right.
And then, but knowing his background, dude, his dad, and they chose to go to Beirut.
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of misremembered exactly everything. I had read a book with Lute Olson in Arizona and stuff. So I knew that Kerr had lost his dad, but for some reason I thought he was like a political dignitary or something. I thought he was like more of a political figure, not actually like a professor.
Right.
But yeah, it was still kind of interesting.
Absolutely. Like, I knew that Steve Kerr was born in Beirut. I just didn't know that his father grew up there and,
oh, wow. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, worked at the American, I think it's like the American College of Beirut.
Like American University or something?
Yeah, American University of Beirut. And his parents, they also worked there, and they were from there and worked at that same university as well.
Okay.
See, I didn't know that. So so that was going back to Beirut when he went to Beirut after Steve Kerr went to college. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought that was their first time going.
And hearing the footage on Steve Kerr, he, like, his father got the job at UCLA. And, he got to, see a lot of the UCLA games. And it looks like based on that, that's where he wanted to go. But he didn't get any scholarship entrance. Thank goodness Arizona came.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was interesting. It's just, I don't know. I mean, yeah, because we probably didn't even hear about that back then, or we were too young, because especially with him being in college when it happened. We were probably too young to, hear about that.
But little known fact, Steve Kerr played with Sean Elliott, who got drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. Also played with Kenny Lofton.
Okay.
Kenny Lofton played basketball in college?
Yeah, he played ball.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Cool.
I knew he played with Sean Elliott. I knew about that. I didn't know Kenny Lofton was on those teams.
Yeah, I didn't either. But yeah, any folks that are watching, if you want to leave some comments or questions, go ahead and feel free. Right now we're kind of talking about episodes 9 and 10 of The Last Dance, Chicago Bulls special. So it was kind of bittersweet. It coming to an end last night, I guess. And my wife was like, she was kind of just kind of disappointed. She was like, it just ended like that. And I was like, yeah, we knew that, I mean,
What else they supposed to do?
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, what else do y'all want to? I know that I mean, one of the main topics coming out of it still is the I guess the owner asking Phil Jackson, you can come back if you want to. If you want to, is what the owner said.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow, well, I mean, the GM doesn't want me back. So it'd be kind of. He's already told me if I won every game, he didn't want me back, and now you're saying I can come back if I want to.
Look, man,
Nah.
they playing. Look, Ronsdorf and Cross were playing Jedi mind tricks with the media, Jedi mind tricks with the team, Jedi mind tricks with Phil Jackson. It was a bunch of BS, and they saw right through it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like, as a coach, I don't think. I mean, I don't think I could go back either, though. I mean, especially the way it was phrased. You can come back if you want to.
Right.
Like
that doesn't sound too wanted.
Yeah, like I just won you an NBA championship. We've won
3 in a row,
6 out of 8, and you're gonna say this to me, So I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I felt like they kind of just crapped on Phil. And I know Jordan said that he probably would have come back, and him and Kerr and Rodman may have come back on 1-year deals, but Pippen would have been the one to try to sell.
Look, the comment that Ronsdorf said, oh, the market value was too high. Look, the number one goal of an owner is to, number one, make the most money for the team. And if you rebuild and you don't have those players, then you're definitely not making as much money. So you need to keep those players. You need to keep winning. You get more tickets. You get more memorabilia. You get more ratings.
Right.
And, at that time, the
especially
NBA
in that kind of market.
Yeah. And at that time, they went from being in 30 countries to 215 countries. The thing is, I think that he didn't want to spend the money. That's what it comes down to. And that's sad, because I'm like Jordan. I'm gonna win at all costs.
Yeah. And Jordan said he had been on 1-year deals, previously anyway.
I remember that. That's all he ever did was 1 year. He was doing $30 million deals.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife too. She was like, why didn't they just go on and, she said, pay everybody. You know what I mean? She said, if it was just 1 year, just go on and, so, but I was like, I don't know. I can't answer. I said, my opinion was, the GM, Krause, he thought he could do it his way, and he wanted to be known as the GM that could get it done his way. I can get it done with these guys. It doesn't matter who else we have. It's mine.
Right.
I think he wanted more of the glory than the coach and the players and all that, and he felt like he could mastermind it all and kind of win with whoever. And like if he was to win with I hate to say it, like even in rebuild mode, if he was able to win, then he's GM of the year, GM of the century, and he just kind of build his own ego. Kind of how I see it.
So, and the thing about it, after the Bulls dismantled, that 98-99 team was absolutely horrific. They went 13-37. The biggest free agent acquisition at the time was Brent Berry, who isn't probably 3% of his father, Rick Barry. Okay, and then they drafted.
Brent Barry is the only other guy I know that's dunked from the free throw line, and he's
he stepped on the line.
A toe.
Yeah, but they all step on the line. Even Jordan stepped on the line.
Like, somebody need to dunk from the 3-point line. That's all. End the debate. Dunk from the 3-point line. Get it done. Okay.
They keep moving it back. It won't happen.
I'm about to say there's video of what's his name? Almost Zach LaVine almost doing it.
Almost.
Yeah. His
That's
entire
a long way, boy.
His entire foot was over or something, but still.
But see, it's just karma. Ever since, okay, I mean, the Bulls had a couple of good years with, Jimmy Butler and then D Rose, but the two constants have been Jerry Krause until he died and Jerry Reinsdorf. They have put that organization down to the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a third constant, John Paxson, but they got rid of him. Reinsdorf's still there. So it's a new regime in Chicago. I don't know how much longer Zach LaVine will be there. But it's a new regime in town.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think they've been in rebuild mode for, coming on 20 years or just over 22 years, I guess. But anyway, I was trying to think of some other interesting. I mean, to me, the Dennis Rodman going to wrestling.
Dude, like what in the world? I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that for some reason.
I remembered him being in wrestling for a little while, but I didn't realize that. I guess technically he didn't have permission from Chicago or whatever. I didn't remember that
being during the playoffs.
Yeah, I knew
after the season.
Yeah, I thought it was. I knew it was right around that time because I know later on too, Karl Malone. Malone teams with DDP.
DDP.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. Diamond Dallas. Yeah.
So it was Karl Malone and DDP versus Hogan and Rodman or Rodzilla, and yeah, I guess the timing of it all. I guess I just didn't realize that he had missed practice, and again, my wife, we've been watching it together, and she was like, "Were they mad at him, like the Bulls?" And I said, "I think they probably were just upset that he missed practice, especially that they didn't know. And I said, but yeah, you got to play him. I mean, as bad as Phil probably wanted to, probably a part of him didn't want to play him. You got to play him. I mean, again, because he knows that Rodman's going to show up on game time. He's going to show up for a game, and he's going to give you everything he's got. And again, like they had alluded to, in whatever episode it was when he went off to Vegas and was gone for all that time, that he needed. Sometimes he just needed that escape. But he was when he was on the court, he was going to give you everything he had. So, but anyway,
well, my wife caught a glimpse of Dennis Rodman. That part, I think that was in episode 10. And I think it was that game 5 or game 6 where he hit that 20-foot jumper. And I was like, Dennis Rodman is better on offense than what people thought. But he, played into the team concept. He focused on rebound. He focused on defense. That's what the team needed the most. But let me circle back on that. The part where Steve Kerr talked about, hey, I needed to study John Paxson and be the best role player that I can be. I hope more athletes who watched it will think, okay, what am I best at, and be the best in that. Not everybody is going to be the MJ. They're not going to be the Scottie Pippen. But if you can carve out a role in the NBA, you might be able to carve out a 14, 15-year career, making money, getting the connections out there.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking short term, think more long term. And it made me think about like high school when I played. I came off the bench, and I always thought, look, I'm one of the 5 best players on the team.
Yeah.
But my coach called me, you're a microwave guy. You're a Vinny Johnson.
Yeah.
And I'm like, later on in my high school career, and as I think back, with my high school days, I'm like, you know what? Coach was actually right. But at the same time, when you have your 12, 13, 15 guys that are committed to their role and they know what their role is, you can do amazing things just like the Bulls did in the 90s.
Yeah. It's
they were nothing but a bunch of role players. Like, clearly, definitely a bunch of role players. And the thing about those teams, like, outside of Steve Kerr, who ended up going to San Antonio next?
Yeah.
Or was it
Yeah, he
Phoenix
went
next?
he went to San Antonio next.
Yeah, because he won even more championships. But what did any of them do after that? After that season? Like, Kukoc played too. Yeah, kept playing too. But most of those dudes wouldn't been anything on any other team.
Right. Yeah.
Like they like Judd Bushler, and I mean, I know these ratings aren't everything, but good God, he was rated in the 60s on the video game.
67.
Like, he was terrible to play with. Like, those teams were terrible to play with on the video game because they were garbage, but they got a lot out of them and they played their role. Like Randy Brown. What did Randy Brown do after that? Nothing.
Yeah.
What was he good at? A hustle guy, kind of.
Towel boy.
He got a lot of minutes with them. Luke Longley.
He went back to Australia.
Yeah, like,
he said good day. He said good day, Mike.
Yeah, Bill Wennington, like all those guys, like they weren't particularly good. But they could hit the wide open 12 to 15 footer, and they can do 6 good fouls.
Yeah, Scott Burrell disappeared because Michael Jordan told him if he ever saw him again, he was gonna whoop his ass.
But Scott Burrell is actually the men's head coach of Southern Connecticut State or Central Connecticut. I think it's Central Connecticut State.
Okay.
And his wife is a journalist on Sports New York.
Okay.
Who's a good looker, by the way.
We'll take your word for it.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here. Gandhi might be having some technical difficulties again.
Yeah.
But we're here. So we'll see if he's able to come back here shortly.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah, there he is.
Okay,
can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you. Your screen's frozen on our end, but it might unfreeze here shortly.
All right, quick question. What do you guys think of how Scottie Pippen was portrayed in The Last Dance?
Well, I saw this on I think it was Penny Franklin's that was D. Kreit's brother or whatever. I saw it on his Facebook, I believe, that Scottie Pippen was a little upset at how he was portrayed, and I mean he still sat down and did the interviews with them, so he knew what they were doing, He said that he would still sit out that last 1.8 if given the chance to do it again. There was the game where he was sick and he was like, I can't play and I'm sick. And, and I get his back. Trust me, I get the back being hurt. But your back's already hurt. You're getting treatment before the game. And the first thing you do when you catch that ball is you dunk it. So why, if your back's already hurt, I get still trying to play, but why would you go up for a dunk?
Yeah,
he said that jarred his back again. So I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I don't really feel sorry for him. But that's me.
I feel a small level, but then I put these people's lives in perspective, and it's like, man, they're doing way better than all us. They don't need my sympathy.
Right.
He'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay. So when I saw Pippen have the issue with his back, I started thinking, what part of his back? Look, I've played and I've had herniated discs before, 2 of them. As a matter of fact, But the way that Pippen was going up and down the court, I'm thinking it's probably his L5. Okay, lower part of his back, probably left side. Looked like that was giving him the business per se. But I will say this: at least he went to the locker room, came back, played, went back to the locker room, played. He did more than Chris Paul did in Game 7 against Golden State 2 years ago. Yeah, Chris Paul, I'm still.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least he didn't, completely bow out there, with the back injury. One thing too that I mentioned on again, I think like I said, it was Penny Franklin's Facebook thing was, all of us played, and I'm sure all of us played hurt or injured. There is a difference. But I said that when I was in high school, for those that don't know, I have a prosthetic leg. But anyway, so in high school, I had rubbed a raw spot underneath my knee, and I'm talking about like I couldn't even. I mean, it hurt for me to put my leg on. That's how bad this sore spot, raw spot was. Me and my dad tried everything we could to relieve that pressure. I mean, I cut a hole in the it's called the liner, but basically it's kind of what I put on before I put my leg on. Yeah. But I cut a hole in it. We tried putting like a little little gel pad thing in my leg. I mean, we tried so many different things for me to get that, to relieve that pressure. And it was impossible. And I had to miss like a couple of days of practice, and I missed a game, and it absolutely like just crushed me that I couldn't play, And I think sometimes today these kids will, they'll find any excuse almost to not play.
Yeah.
I'm coaching now, and we've had kids, their finger hurts or something, something hurts, and I'm like, are you hurt or you're injured? Because technically I played injured every game. I was like, I have a fake leg, and I would tell them that story.
Played.
Oh yeah, I played 4 sports. So I played football, basketball, baseball, golf.
Yeah.
I missed one football game because I had separated my shoulder the week before.
Ouch.
But yeah, I did I tried everything I could, no matter what it was, and But again, I think a lot of times these kids today, they kind of bow out too easy.
So
yeah, they do.
So that goes to, they also was on this one was the quote unquote flu game, which was the really food poisoning. And because I've always thought of that one like, all right, so it was our intramural team went to state tournament one year, and we had a game, and I'm like, I know I had the flu, but I'm like, I remember thinking, okay, Jordan did it. I better be able to do this. Because this is like 2006. I was like, look, if Jordan do it, I better be able to do it. I got to play. I'm starting point guard. You got to trying to win a state championship. And I couldn't. And this is the part that I never heard him say was one of his symptoms. But, again, it wasn't the flu, and maybe that's why. But like it wasn't the fatigue, because there was all this fatigue in me that I could probably push through, but it was the dizziness.
Right.
Like, it was like my equilibrium was just off. Right. Luckily, I don't know if y'all remember Chris Poole.
Vaguely.
He ended up walking on to the basketball team like the next year or year.
Oh, talking about white boy Chris Poole. Yeah. Oh yeah, he can shoot that thing. Oh yeah.
Man, Chris ended up like, I think he ended up getting MVP of the whole tournament. Starting in place of me, so it was actually a good move.
Yeah. But, was this the year where y'all played at the Strom Thurmond Wellness Center?
I don't know what it's called. Whatever they rec center is in Columbia.
Okay, yeah, that's the one.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But it was just the fact of like, all right, I don't know if Jordan had the dizziness, but it's like, how can you score, what is it, 39, 37? With all that, like that was just, I ain't lie, like, I was impressed, because it's just like, dude, this is the biggest stage, the top players in the sport, and he still killed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember too. Yeah, I mean, because it was always kind of growing up, it was the flu game, and then it wasn't until I mean, I wouldn't even say it was probably within the last 5 years that I'd heard that it was actually food poisoning. And then of course they in the episodes it kind of alluded to. I mean, they didn't directly say it, but it was kind of like yeah, it was done on purpose because
Thank you.
Five people show up.
5 dudes to show up, and Jordan's like, I'm the only one that ate it, and his trainer was like, it was kind of sketch.
Those idiots probably figured it out when they probably paid with Jordan credit card. It's like, really?
Look,
Or something like that.
Look, this is what happened. Man, this is the only pizza spot in town. Hey, let's call it. MJ wants some pizza. Let's get some pizzas. They call. They figure out, oh, it's for him. Oh, man, let's trash this pizza.
Yeah, I get that. But I was like, how they know it was for Jordan? Like, they wouldn't just
well, they could have thought it was for any
random person.
Well, they could have thought it was for any of the Bulls, maybe.
And mess with them, because they probably knew where the hotel was.
So so it was.
They probably knew the team hotel. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could have been technically for any of the Bulls, and then it just happened.
They got
to be.
lucky.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Or unlucky. Yeah.
And you failed.
But I mean, there's been times where I won't say I necessarily had the flu, but I probably was sick. But I would still try to practice. Because I always felt like, especially if a game was coming up, if I go to practice, I can at least try to sweat this thing out,
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes even when I don't feel good, I'll still try to go to work and, or even again, still go to practices I coach now, and just still try to sweat it throughout the day and kind of try to get rid of it.
Look, I remember in 3rd grade, I had the pink eye in one of my basketball games. I had the Reebok pumps on that I just bought, not the black ones, it's the white ones. I had the pink eye. My first game ever scoring in double digits. I had 14, and then I missed school for 2 weeks. It was worth it. We won.
Yeah.
And then I was in some competition in 7th grade. It was like one of those like shoot, pass, dribble, like an all around thing, and I actually won that. No, actually, wait a minute. I had an orchestra competition that morning. Then that afternoon, had the skills competition. And then I ended up getting sick. I think it was kind of like the flu, and I was out of school for like a week. LeBron would score 40 with food poisoning. No, LeBron would score 40 in 3 quarters. He wouldn't score a damn point in the 4th quarter, and the team would lose, and he would be 3-7 in the finals.
Are we even sure LeBron would play with food poisoning? Because he would probably just cry or something and sit on the bench.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not taking this LeBron bashing. I'm gone. I can't deal with this. No, I'm not. I'm not even going to continue. You know what? Bye.
See you, Gundy.
Bye. I can't do it. I'm not. You know what? Screw you guys. I'm gone.
All right. Eric Hartman, everybody.
No, Gundy actually did have to leave. He played that well. So yeah, Gundy actually had to leave for work. But folks, we're just any of those that are viewing. What are your thoughts on The Last Dance episodes 9 and 10 were last night? Give us your thoughts on. We've talked about the flu game. We've talked about Scottie Pippen. Yeah. So just give us your thoughts on that real quick. I want to give another. First, we'll give a plug for Montz's nonprofit. Our other co-host or whatever, Tavon Montz, is helping with this nonprofit Impact Church up in East Point, feeding our community. He's working with that. So look that up, check that out, especially if you're up that way. Also, again, Rochester Sports Autographs. You can look them up on Facebook And then also here's their actual website. So it's basically autographed sports memorabilia. You can go on and you can buy pretty cool stuff to look at. I just missed out on a Mike Tyson autographed picture, but it looks like it's from the Mike Tyson Punch Out video game. So it's kind of cool. And then there's a Dennis Rodman jersey that I'm looking at, that I'm eyeing pretty heavily.
This sounds much better than Facebook Marketplace.
So Coach Skinner says he hasn't watched it yet. Okay, well, still tell us what you think. Just Ben, you know enough probably. If you got a question for us, you can go on and drop it. So
drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
So again, yeah, folks, we've been discussing The Last Dance. I can't really remember any. I think we touched on really all the major storylines. Again, we talked about Kerr losing his dad and kind of that bonding relationship with Jordan, because they had both lost their fathers. We touched on Rodzilla missing a practice to go to appear on WCW Monday Night Nitro with Hogan and joining the NWO. We touched on the flu game, which was actually food poisoning, and we've talked on Scottie Pippen. Was he kind of portrayed in a bad light? We talked about the Pacers, Reggie Miller and the Pacers. So, something I like too. I've always kind of liked him, but Jalen Rose, I don't know, something about him. I've always kind of liked him.
There's two things I like about Jalen Rose. Number one, like, he's a very engaging personality, and he married Molly Quinn. Okay, he gets a GOAT vote for me. Okay, woo.
Yeah.
Kerr. Let me see. Okay, so the thing about Dennis Rodman, you know how he got the permission to go to Vegas,
right?
But he overstayed his welcome. He should have just did the same thing. Probably would have let him, go and do what he needed to do. But from a coach as a teammate perspective, like that, like, damn, Dennis, you could have just done better. Come on, man.
Yeah, again, I think if he'd have given kind of a heads up, because obviously he knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to go, because he had to have already been in talks with him. It's not like he immediately called him Monday morning and be like, "Hey, can I come?" So they reached out. Somebody reached out to him somehow. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I'm not completely convinced that maybe Chicago didn't know. It may just be kind of like they said they didn't. I don't know. So I think somebody had to have kind of. I mean, obviously, like I said, I know Rodzilla knew ahead of time. But yeah, I think he should have given kind of a heads up. But again, like we touched on, I think Phil Jackson kind of understood the. I mean, it was just Rodman being Rodman. Rodman being Rodman, and if he needs to go if this is kind of him blowing some steam, and then we know we're going to get his 100% come game time. Then we know we're going to get it. And they didn't really touch on it a whole lot. So I don't really know how the players truly felt about the whole thing, because it was like this time they didn't really touch on it. The episode where he went off to Vegas, I mean, they got all the, a lot of the players' input and what they thought. And he, like you said, he did have permission in that time. So it was just kind of an interesting. So anyway, Coach Skinner.
You done it, Skinner. You done it.
No, I don't agree with it. I do not agree with it at all.
The list is doo-doo, okay, with a capital D.
Yeah, I don't agree with it
at all. What was it? My Facebook post last week. I said LeBron isn't number 2. I don't think he's top 10, and
He's top 10. Come on.
Hakeem isn't on there. I'm thinking LeBron is 12. But this is a perfect segue. Now I've been in my house for the past couple of days, Tom. I am working on something that is going to settle this debate once and for all. I'm calling it the definitive NBA GOAT ranking list.
Okay. You can elaborate, or can you elaborate at this time? Is that just
Okay.
or do you want to you don't want to give it away just yet?
Here is what I'm going to say. I am taking all the individual and team accolades, and I'm doing a weighted point system.
Okay.
That means all of your individual accolades, your all NBA teams, all defensive teams. I'm also looking at your like your most improved player, your rookie of the year award, all rookie teams. I'm also looking at your final MVP, season MVPs, all-star appearances, all-star MVPs. And I'm also looking at your playoff appearances, conference championships, division championships, NBA championships, and then your finals appearances to tabulate once and for all who is the definitive NBA GOAT. I'm looking at every season, all the stats, all the awards.
Okay.
Some of it is tough because, like, I'll give an example. Like the rookie of the year the voting didn't start for that until like the 52-53 NBA season, and then like your all NBA, your all rookie team voting didn't start till like 62-63, and then like your most improved player didn't start until like 85-86. But I'm looking at all the accolades, all your individual accolades, your team accolades. I did it on a weighted system. All individual accolades are weighted at 50%, and then your team accolades are weighted at 50%. And then under each, I have all the categories, and I've did it on a weighted system. And I am probably 20 to 25% of the way completed. I'm trying to get this completed in 2 weeks. I'm gonna release it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very interesting and something that we can look forward to hearing about and hear your your rankings at the end when you're done. I know one debate, and not to make this MJ versus LeBron debate, but they always talk about like game sevens. But the thing is, Jordan didn't have nearly as many game sevens as LeBron did. So obviously, the stats for LeBron are going to be higher for a game 7 because he's played in them more. But anyway, I think too also what may get overlooked a lot with this list that I haven't even really, and I'll be honest, I mean I've seen it, I've looked at it a couple of times, but I haven't really went in depth with it or followed it a whole lot. But I know that a lot of people may not even agree with Russell being higher than Chamberlain. While I think Russell is a better overall player than Chamberlain, I know a lot of people have Chamberlain ranked. I mean they consider him a better player and everything than Russell. So there's always that debate within this top 10 as well. But I mean Russell has the most rings out of anybody on this list. So he actually has more than Jordan and LeBron put together. So,
and I think if you put Jordan, LeBron, and Chamberlain, that might get you at 11 rings. Because I don't think I
can't remember how many Chamberlain has off the top of my head.
I think it's like 2 or 3.
Okay. But anyway, so there's that. But no, we appreciate you sharing that, Ben.
Actually he only got 2. So yeah, he Bill Russell has won as many as Jordan,
LeBron, Chamberlain.
LeBron, and Chamberlain. Chamberlain easy.
So yeah, folks, we've kind of have talked about pretty much everything. I think that was kind of for the most part was in The Last Dance that were major topics. I thought the end was kind of cool, and it's something that I may try to implement in some way at some point. But when the Bulls kind of got together there at the end, and Phil Jackson had asked them to write something down on a piece of paper, kind of like their memories of the year or whatever, and it's some kind of and I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but I guess it's some kind of Zen or Buddhism kind of philosophical type thing. It was like part of some ritual. But it's like they wrote everything. They wrote something down, and then they all read them, and then they dropped them in the coffee bin and burned them. But I thought that was kind of cool.
That's actually not bad at all. I mean, you can use it for a lot of like inspirational things, and
Yeah, and that's something that I've always been kind of intrigued in with Phil Jackson with kind of the Zen stuff. So I've read a couple of Phil's books, and then I've actually have read a couple or kind of in the process of reading some kind of Zen Buddhism type books, just to kind of, I don't know, be more, I guess, obviously still be more well-rounded too, but just kind of, I don't know how to explain it.
I get it. I mean, like as a coach, you want to, figure out how to motivate each person on your team.
Right.
And each person is going to respond to inspiration like differently. So it has to be like individualized. So I love like, Phil Jackson will get Kobe a certain book, Shaq a certain book, all of his players a certain book. That I get that part. Because I think the days of Bobby Knighting it is over. You can't just yell, throw a ball, and kick a chair. I mean, those days are over.
But I think so too. I think you got to have a somewhat of a mix. I think there are certain points where the yelling or the screaming, and I mean, if you want to use the words, I mean, cussing them out and all that. And I think it has its merit sometimes, but if it's all they're hearing, then it's going to end up falling on deaf ears. So I think there's definitely kind of a new style of kind of coaching. Well, and also I think, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like my favorite coach is Tony Dungy.
Okay. Yeah, solid coach.
Like I remember reading his book, Quiet Strength.
Yep.
And it's I guess when I first heard about Tony Dungy, I was like, man, there's a coach out there that doesn't curse and doesn't, yell and whatnot. Like, how do you do that?
Right.
So it was very interesting to understand kind of the mind and the methodology behind the man. Like if I could play football, that's the one guy that I would love to play for.
Yeah, he's definitely a good one. I've read his I think he's got some other books too. Quiet Strength, and then Uncommon, and like The Mentor Leader. And then I know the Uncommon also has a like a biblical study guide that they came up with, and like a daily devotional type thing. And then him and his wife did a book together, like The Uncommon Marriage. So I've read it. But yeah, he's definitely a good one. And I won't say the coach's name, but I think because I could get it wrong, and then if for some reason it was to get out there. But anyway, I think there's a collegiate coach that he started, they would pray before every game. But then he realized like some of his players, they may not even believe in, a God,
Right.
or they may not in their, they may not all believe in the same God. So like saying the Lord's Prayer before every game, just, some of those guys, it meant nothing to them. So what this coach started doing was when they kind of huddled up in the locker room before going out, they just took a time to kind of quietly pray, or just kind of quietly meditate to to whatever, I guess, higher being they believed in or didn't believe in. So I kind of thought that was kind of interesting. So, but I mean, people can kind of they can kind of take that for what it is too. So
All right. So tomorrow night,
tomorrow night.
Stephen A. Smith and Magic Johnson are doing an ABC special called After the Dance.
Okay. I haven't heard about it, so
I'm not sure what time it will be, but Stephen A. and Magic Johnson will be on there. It'll probably be for like an hour long. I'm not sure how much extra they'll be able to divulge into The Last Dance, but it'll probably be some laughs. Well, a lot of laughs. Some good insights. I look forward to watching that.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. While I'm looking it up, actually, it's popping up now. There's one other thing I want to. So let's see. It just says, yeah, it'll be a special on May 19th. ABC will air after the dance. And I don't see a time, but it'll probably be like 8:00 is what I would, but I could be wrong. Oh, this also says Whoopi Goldberg, Shaquille O'Neal, Robin Roberts will all be. Apparently they'll be guests on it as well. But again, I'm not seeing it. But actually, yeah, Stephen A. Smith is the executive producer on it. But anyway, folks, if you're interested, you can check that out. Maybe a time I'm not seeing a time right now. I guess kind of one thing we can, because we didn't really come up with another topic. I mean, we kind of had, you and I had kind of had, and we're coming up on an hour. And again, we always, to those that are watching and to both of us as well, be respectful of each other's times as we both have families. But anyway, push off or no push off?
Let's call it a nudge. Because so when I first saw it back in '98, I thought it was a push. I'm like, man, Jordan got away with that. But then I realized, based on his motion, Jordan just gave him a little nudge, got the shot off.
Yeah, it's kind of it's really, really interesting because I remember watching the game. When I was, let's see, I guess I'd have been like 15, something like that. So I remember watching the game, and I don't even remember, I really don't remember seeing like Jordan's hand at all, and that was my memory when I was like, and then like, I mean, afterwards, then it became one of these things where it was like, was it a push off or wasn't it? And then it became this real big debate for, a couple of years. That was like what they kept, talking about. Mm-hmm. But again, my initial memory of it when I was 15 was that I don't even remember his hand doing that at all. But anyway, and real quick, I'm going to throw this up. Coach Skinner said a great book. is The Servant, a simple story about the true essence of leadership. So I have to check that out. Check that out, Ben. And then he said he's got to go. All right, Coach. Have a good night.
Hey, thank you, Coach Skinner.
So, but yeah. But we're just something funny. We can argue or debate or not debate.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I remember after Jordan hit that shot, there was talks of doing like a one-on-one battle between Jordan and Brian Russell for like $1 million. And I think that might have been right at like 2000 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. But at the same time, there was nobody on that Utah team that could guard MJ. Not even Shannon Anderson. Nobody could guard him.
Right.
But I will say this. I don't know why MJ came back to play for the Wizards. When you hit that iconic shot, and I want to buy like the photo of it and just hang it up on my wall.
Yeah.
Like that's how you end as a champion. You win. You ride on the white horse. You drift off into the sunset.
Yeah, I just think, man, and you know it, because my wife and I were talking about it. She was like, I didn't realize he played again. I was like, oh yeah, played like 2 years or something with the Wizards, or 1.5 years, whatever it was. But
2 non-playoff years.
I was like, I think a lot of it just honestly and truly like just the competitive nature in him. Like he just couldn't hang it. Like it just ate at him. You know, it just ate him up. Like he had to be, you know, because he was already like part owner of the Wizards or whatever it was. You know, he had some kind of management position.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to. I just think something was eating at him inside.
You know what it was? He was president of basketball operations, and he saw the team. He's like, man, I drafted Kwame Brown, and he sucks. Man, I got to help this team out.
Yeah. That's
so they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he brought back the coach that will let him do whatever. And, you know, it caused rifts between the team. Like Jerry Stackhouse did not like playing with Wizards MJ. Kwame Brown didn't like playing with MJ because Kwame was lazy as I don't know what.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, the best basketball player for the Charlotte Hornets right now is probably MJ. And that's sad. Beer belly, almost 60-year-old MJ.
No, they've got who do they have?
Devontae Graham, who is
who did they pick up when Kimba went to the
Celtics? They picked up Terry Rozier, aka Scary Terry, he's good, but he's no Kimba. And then Devontae Graham was basically Kimba's backup. He gets elevated into a starting position. And
I like Malik Monk. I'm looking at their roster now. I do kind of like Rozier. They got Nicholas Batum. I probably mispronounced his name.
Batum.
Yeah, man, that's all they got.
Well, look.
They got Cody Zeller, but he ain't nothing.
Look, role players who
Miles Bridges.
Paid. Well, like they just have a lot of bad contracts. They have a lot of just average players at best. It's not a good place for free agents to go to. Even though I love Charlotte, I was born there. I got family there. But as far as a basketball city, like right now, and the market that they're in, it is not a big time market. Love the Hornets when they first came in, you know, Grandma Mar, Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, David Wingate, Kendall Gill, Kelly Tupuka. I probably butchered the name, but they had him as well, and you know they sold out all their games. It was the hottest ticket in town, but MJ the player, MJ, and then MJ the owner, two different things. I will say thank you, MJ, for getting rid of the Bobcats name and getting the Hornets name back and the colors and all that.
Yeah, that was cool.
I just want my Hornets to be more successful.
Yeah, I've always liked the color scheme. They also got PJ Washington. He was a Kentucky player. I like him. I didn't realize he was with Charlotte. I guess one other thing too with the we were talking about Jordan coming back. So I remember when my dad he retired 1 year, and he lasted like 2 months of retirement, and he got a phone call from a coaching buddy, and the guy was like, because this was my dad had kind of like retired during the summer, and he was taking the summer all this, and the guy contacted him and was like, why don't you come coach football? And he said, you won't have to, you don't have to teach during the day. We'll just hire you as a community coach. And so my dad was like, all right. Well, because he couldn't, he thought he would enjoy it, but it was just that all that time just sitting at home, you know what I mean? He was going and doing stuff, but at the same time, it just ate at him, that competitive coaching in him. So that's kind of how he got back into it. And then he took basketball season off, and then the coach asked him to come back for track and help him with track. And again, it was just in the afternoons. He didn't have to worry about teaching. And then another school ended up contacting him, and he ended up getting back in it full time. And then that's when him and I were able to coach together. So we ended up coaching together for 4 years. So, but anyway, well, I guess we can I know we had kind of thought we might talk about some of the sports and whether they're, the time frame of them coming back and what can be done, but we can probably touch that in a couple of weeks. Folks, I want to tell you that, we will not be having a show next Monday. It'll probably be 2 weeks. Some other of us have got other obligations. So we're gonna take a week off, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. But again, just want to Vaughn Montz, who has been one of the co-hosts. He's working with a nonprofit up in East Point. So this is the church that they're feeding the community with. I think it's like 10 o'clock in the mornings. I wish I was able to, which I can try to flag it out when we send it out. But I wish I could pop up a picture now of the flyer for it. But it looks like they're just kind of feeding the community right now in this time of need. And I think it's on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. So there's that. Again, I'm just Rochester Sports Autographs is company. You can find them on Facebook, and then they have a website, Shop RSA. So it's autograph sports memorabilia. I mean, they've got your baseball, basketball, football, hockey. They got wrestling. They got entertainment. They've got just all the sports that you can think of. You can look for certain players, certain sports. They got bats that are autographed, football helmets, again, jerseys, and they're all authenticated. And it comes with the letter of certificate of authenticity and all that stuff. And you can also get mystery boxes where you kind of pick a sport, and it may be, you've picked football when you don't know what you're getting, but you're buying a box, and you may get, like an autographed jersey and helmet and like a football or something. So they got just unique little things like that. If you want to give them a look, send them some business. Hopefully, I'm trying to work something out with them. So hopefully it'll pan out. Again, that's Rochester Sports Autographs. You can find them on Facebook. And then there's their website. So as we're wrapping things up, is there anything else you'd like to add, Nappy?
Hey, I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. I'm gonna take my talents to Myrtle Beach.
Oh, hey, Ryan's up there, so give Ryan a look.
Oh, the Rizzle?
Yeah, Rizzle, little Rizzle, he's up there.
Hey.
Him and his folks have moved up there, so he's up near Myrtle Beach. Like they live just outside Myrtle Beach. So yeah, give him a look.
Oh man, I have to give him a call.
Yeah.
Hey, man, pistol.
Yeah, he'll have to take you out on the town one night.
Yeah, hey, that'd be great, man. Look, my squad and I will be there. Sunday night, Monday night, coming back Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Trying to get close to this water.
Yeah. Well, man, I hope you have a fun vacation with the family, and get some of that well-needed rest.
Yes, definitely.
So, all right, folks, this has been another episode of Kicking It with Kickstand. Again, we will not be here next week, but we will revene in 2 weeks, and hopefully Montz will be able to join us, and hopefully Gundy will be able to stay the full time as well. So we appreciate y'all tuning in, and
you guys.
all right, we'll catch you next time.
That's right. Peace.
Peace.